stronger than the moon. Hold on, don't let go. Hey, hold on, don't let go. Just stay one step closer. I'm waiting from you. You wait to live. Just follow the light of darkness. Stay closer. I'm waiting from you. You wait to live. Just follow the light of darkness. You're gonna be okay. When the night is closing, don't give up and don't give in. This won't last, it's not the end, it's not the end. You're gonna be okay. When the night is closing in, don't give up and don't give in. This won't last, it's not the end, it's not the end. You're gonna be okay. If love endured that ancient cross, how precious is my Savior's blood. The beauty of heaven wrapped in my shame. The image of love upon death's flame.
Welcome to the Our Point of View Media Outreach, where your pathway will be made brighter and the darkness will be dispelled. Good evening, folks. I am excited about this evening and what we're going to be sharing. I first ask you to type your name in the chat. Let me know where you're viewing from, and we're going to get right into this. Now, I don't have a class or a session. What I want to do here is I want you to let me know where you're coming from, where you're viewing from, and then I want you to ask questions, because really the important thing about this session today, this is going to be number one of an ongoing series, but I want to encourage you in this dynamic of growing food, and I'll tell you why. I'm not going to take the time tonight to talk about all the chemicals in the food, because that will just oppress us. But what I want to do is I want to talk to you about clean food, and I'm going to share with you some of our food in the as we go on here. But I want to find out what you have to work with, and I will share with you that there are a lot of programs out there. If you have 6 acres or more, then we can help. We can help direct you to some funds that you may qualify for. But it doesn't cost a lot of money to grow food if you're just doing a small personal program, garden. But if you want to grow food so that you can get into the dynamic of selling food and making money, then you're going to have an initial investment. And there's a lot of ways that you can grow food. You can grow food. You can do raised beds. You can do just soil production. I like raised beds personally because raised beds, you're able to win the weed war. And I've had so many people come to us at Shekinah Ranch and they say, well, man, the weeds are breaking my spirit. And weeds are an ongoing thing. There's a way to grow food if we're talking about vegetables, because here at Shekinah Ranch, we not only grow vegetables, but we grow several assortments of meat. We produce our own lamb. We produce our own quail. We produce our own chickens, and we're going to talk about that. During the pandemic, we would go to the chicken hatcheries, and the people were laughing, and we said, "Well, why are you laughing?" They said, "All of a sudden, people think they can grow their own chickens, and they started growing chickens, but they were killing them." So that's an investment that goes down the drain. We don't want you to grow anything and kill it. And there's a lot of people, they say, I don't grow anything because I've got a knack for killing everything. Well, that's simply because you need training. And the more training you get and the more you do it, the more you'll understand how to do it, and the more you'll do it better. And then you'll be encouraged, and you'll also be encouraging other people. Now, let me know where you're viewing from. Let me know your name. We want to stay in constant contact with you. Normally, we do these live streams and they're only invitation only, but we open this up to a wide open public forum. We want to help educate people. We want people to get encouraged. We want people to know they can grow their own food. I mean, you might not grow 100% of your own food, but you can grow your own food. Here at Shekinah Ranch, let me tell you, this month we declared as Super September. And what Super September is, we're raising funds all month, just raising money so that we can be more equipped to help more young people and more families. In fact, on the 23rd of September, we have a basketball team coming out, and we're going to be doing the obstacle challenge course, and we're going to be challenging their brain. We're going to be challenging their eye. We're going to be challenging their hand and eye coordination. We do these obstacle courses and have done them for years. And what we do, we built these obstacle courses so that they lose, like they fail. I mean, there's so much pressure on these kids, on these young people to win and to succeed, that I believe that's what pushes them to, depression. I think that's what pushes them to suicide. And what we do this under supervision so that we can help them understand alternatives and put more tools in their tool bag to win. Okay. So that particular program, we're asking people to donate $75 so that they can sponsor one of the youth. We have 15 young men coming out, and it's a sponsored program. We want them to really be blessed. So again, welcome. Let us know who you are. Let us know where you're viewing from. And so we were talking about raised bed growing. That's good for vegetables and herbs and spices and so forth. But then there's soil production, where you just put your seeds right in the ground, or you put your plants right in the ground. Then there's, what's called greenhouse growing. And that's, a lot of people are starting to get into microgreens, and which is very healthy. And the reason why microgreens are so healthy is because we're harvesting them when they're young, when the nutrition level is very, very high. People use microgreens for their smoothies and for their juices, and it is great. It is great. So, hello, Toya. It's good to have you here. And again, don't be afraid of trying new things. And there's one other benefit to growing your own food. You get exercise. and we live in one of the cultures that there's more out of shape people on the planet than we've ever seen. So we want you to get out there, get exercise, learn how to do this thing so that you're successful. In my new book, I talk about the fact that winning is therapeutic. And I know that hey, I'm going to tell you something. I started growing tilapia, and I've killed thousands of fish, and I know that would break your spirit. But I had to really pray and say, God, is this really what you want me to do? And we kept on, and now we run about 15 to 20,000 pounds of tilapia in our systems, and we're having to increase our production because more and more people are wanting to buy the food that we grow. And the reason why they're wanting to buy the food that we grow is because they are tired of chemicals. Now, like I said, I don't want to get into the kinds of chemicals, but the chemicals are so dangerous. They're, creating liver problems. They're creating kidney problems. They're creating heart problems. And you would be surprised if you just started growing some of your own vegetables where pesticides are not being used, how much better you would feel. And then you can start learning to can and preserve some of these foods so that you have vegetables all winter long. And so we've got raised bed growing, we've got soil production, we have greenhouse production. In a greenhouse, you have to get some training, because when you're growing in a greenhouse, you can burn up a lot of food. And so, you have to have the proper ventilation and the proper air moving around in there. And you've got to, because in a greenhouse, you've got the sun is heating up that plastic, and it'll get very, very hot. But it is a very, very effective way to grow food. Then you have people that if they have a flat roof, they're growing food on a rooftop. Very, very successful. It's happening all over the country. And people are, seeing again, not only growing the food and having healthy food. Have you been to the grocery store lately? Yes. I have seen prices in the grocery store continue to climb. And you know what? Growing your own food can reduce your grocery bill considerably if you actually get into this and start doing this on a regular basis. Now, here in Ohio, we have a short season, but I have some friends out in Texas. They were talking about it's so hot, it's burning up their food, and there's solutions for that. There's things like shade screen. There's things like a swamp cooler and things of this nature where you can literally create your own environment so that you can grow. I just got through building our second walk-in freezer. And so right now I'm getting ready to start a project where we build a cool house and a warm house. The cool house will be so that we can grow spinach year round. Spinach is a cool season crop, and in the summertime when it's so hot, spinach will bolt, and it'll turn real bitter real quick. So we want the environment so that when it's hot, we can cool it down, and we can be successful in growing spinach all year round. It grows very well in the winter. It grows very well that is if you have a greenhouse, because when you grow food, vegetables or flowers in the fall, if the frost hits it, it's going to burn it up. It's going to be gone. So then there's something called container growing. Container growing is very, very exciting because you can actually grow in a container on your front porch. And then when the weather turns too cold, you can bring that plant in the house. As long as you have a window where it's going to get sun, that plant will continue to bear fruit. So you could grow spinach, you could grow kale. There's an assortment of things you could do in container growing. You can grow tomatoes, you can grow potatoes. But and some people actually take and put potatoes in a container and they start them outside in the summer and the fall, and then they'll take them and put them in their basement and put lights on them, and they'll still grow. Now, people don't know this because people don't want you to know it either, because they want you to continue to go to the grocery store. I haven't been to the, I grow most of our meat in our church and in our community. We grow most of our meat, and so we're not buying meat in the grocery store. And if you would do some research and find out what kind of chemicals are going into meat, and the detrimental effect that it has on your body, you would say, wait a minute here. There's two things you can do. You can start growing on a low scale yourself, or you can locate a farmer or a food producer like myself, and we will grow it for you. Toya, do you have a question? Yes, so she says, can I really grow enough for my family if I have 1 acre? What are other alternatives to grow food if I don't have much land? Well, Toya, in an acre, you can grow enough food that it will not only be for your family, but you can even grow food so that you can sell it and make some money off of it. Now, as you all come to these sessions, you'll know that I am not favorable of community gardens. And I'm going to tell you why before you all get mad and send me some emails or text messages that say, why don't you like community gardens? I'll tell you why. Most people that have a home, they have a backyard. And what they do with that backyard is they mow it, and they mow it, and they mow it, and they mow it. So when we think about mowing a yard, you do get exercise, but you're spending money on gasoline to run your mower, and it's work. But you could actually take and section off a portion of your yard or all of your yard and have a great garden. And if you use the right materials like landscape fabric, and I use commercial landscape fabric, not what you get at Lowe's, you get what I'm talking about at the greenhouse store, you won't have any weeds, number one. Then all you have to do is deal with the pest, because the bugs are vegetarians and they'll eat you out of house and home. But here's the deal, it's good news. There are natural remedies for that, to where you're not using chemicals and putting chemicals on your food. But here's the deal. There is a model that you can take and use actually a fourth of an acre. And if you do a succession planting, that means plant 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks you come and plant the same thing again. But it's intensive farming. You can actually make $15,000 a year on that crop. So you're not only growing food for your own family, and I mean, we're assuming that you may have a family of 4 or 6. If you have a larger family, you just do it a little bit differently and grow more substance. But you can do this thing, and there are ways to do it to where you not only have food for yourself, but you can have food for your family or for your friends. I try to tell pastors, and I'm still working on a lot of pastors, because I tell them, look, you have land, your people, they're going to go to the grocery store. Why don't you start your own grocery store? And that money will recycle into your church and into your church family, much like, Black Wall Street did. And, but the other advantage of this, you have healthier food, which then eventually you'll have healthier people in your congregation. And then they're not spending all their money on medication and health care. And it's nothing like being healthy. I'm going to tell you something. It's nothing like being healthy. That Dana, it's good to have you. Made the internet was making me crazy. Well, you made it here, so praise God. You overcame the internet, and so there's so many different variables that we just have to, eventually talk and find out what works for you. I mean, maybe container growing will work for you. I grew potatoes one time in a container, and I simply went to the grocery store and got potatoes. I let them sit in a dark place until they had an eye, and I learned how to plant that. And at the end of the season, I had 40 or 50 potatoes in this container. And so when you find out that it's not such a mystery, you'll roll up your sleeves and you'll have courage and faith, and you'll get right in there and you'll start doing a good job for yourself. Remember, now we want to welcome you to the broadcast. We want to ask you to list your name, where you grow, where you're coming, where you're viewing from, and then eventually we'll be able to connect with you and start giving you some insight on how you can turn your backyard into a garden, into a food production area. And so we have other problems we have to overcome. Well, Pastor Larkins, what about the rabbits? What about the varmints that come into my garden? I'm telling you, that's a real problem. It's a real issue, but there's preventatives to that. And so, anytime, in fact, this is great. Farming is a wonderful way for you to understand God's plan and God's purposes for our life, because the Bible says the whole kingdom of God is if a man casts seed into the ground. And even in everyday life, whether you grow a garden or not, everyday life you have to overcome problems. And so really gardening is a great problem solving exercise. Uh, Farming or gardening is a great, uh, critical thinking exercise. And we're after doing it to where we win. Let me tell you a story. When we started growing tilapia, I didn't know any of this. And, people will try to tell you, you've got to go to school, you've got to go, to all these programs where you get trained and you really don't learn much. But I decided I felt God wanted me to grow fish. And now we're getting ready to expand into freshwater shrimp. But we had our problems, we had to fight, and we had to learn, and we failed, you know. But I tell, since my sports days, I said, you're not a real failure until you quit. You might have some hiccups, you might have some setbacks, but you're not a failure unless you give up and quit. And we're not quitters, are we? So I remember one day, and we design all of our systems. Okay, I don't know if we have a slide that has our aquaculture tanks on it. If we do, let's bring that up. But one day, that's one right there. And this is we're more sophisticated now, and all the dark stuff around the tank, that's simply algae. We let algae grow in our tanks because that's really tilapia's, natural food. Now we do feed them, but when that algae is, and algae also lets us know that the water that we have in there is a good ecosystem. If algae's growing, it's a healthy ecosystem. So when we had our first aquaculture center, we, I was going to put a float valve on my tanks. That was a backup system. So if we sprung a leak and all the water was draining out of the tank, that once it got so low, it would shut off. And I delayed putting the backup system in. And I walked in there one morning, and we had a pipe had busted loose, and I had $10,000 worth of tilapia laying in the bottom of a dry tank, and they were dead. I'm telling you, I made a mistake. And I'll tell you, but it hurt my heart so bad. I'm like, oh man, I had to start all over. But that's like life. You hit hard times, you don't quit. And so now we've built, and this greenhouse here is it's a 6,000 square foot greenhouse, and we have at least 20,000 pounds of tilapia in two systems like that. These tanks are 10,000 gallon tanks, and then you see the large white cone tank up there. That's a filtration system. And now we not only have a good ecosystem growing fish, now we have an outdoor boiler. And let's bring the outdoor boiler up because we are off the grid on natural gas. And so we actually heat with the outdoor boiler. Everything, that's it. Everything on our campus that's heated is heated with this is the main heat source. And then we've produced thermal cells throughout the structure that gives us unlimited heat. And I bring people into our system, and I'd say let's consider how we can create this sustainable energy for you in your home, and you can reduce your heating bill considerably by just creating some sustainable heat structures in your home. And it's simply heating with hot water. And hot water heat used to be very popular in this country until they decided if we require if we create a system that people become more dependent, then we can make money off of them. And it's amazing to me that people they buy into convenience, and all they do is they keep raising the prices. And if you look at their earnings at the end of the year, they're record earnings, but and you just keep paying it. Well, we want to help people understand how to lower their price and keep some pennies and some dollars in their pocket so that they're not always pulling out their hair. And I want to get somebody to do a graphic for me. And the graphic would be that they're sitting in their house, and you probably are the graphic, sitting in their house in the wintertime, and they're looking at the thermostat, and they're looking at their bill, and they got a blanket over them, and they're shivering, but the bill just keeps going up because they're not warm. Well, you can be warm with hot water heat, and you don't have to have a big bill, but you just have to be willing to make some adjustments and make some changes. And we're here to help you. Okay. So let's talk about some more things about food. All right. You can grow in your backyard. You can grow in your basement with lights. You can grow in your attic with lights. You can grow on your patio. You can grow on your balcony. And here's one, and I saw this as I traveled around the country, neighbor to neighbor. Now, you can imagine if you grew tomatoes and your neighbor grew onions and your other neighbor grew zucchinis and squash, you would have a grocery store right there in your community, and you would buy and trade with one another. So I've seen these models, and they're very, very effective and very, very efficient. You can grow on your porch. You can grow on your deck. You could set an aquaculture system up in your kitchen and have what's called aquaponics in your kitchen, where the fish water would circulate through small grow beds. You have your kitchen window to provide light, and you would have not only fish that you could eat, you would have vegetables, and they would be fresh right there in your kitchen as you start, cooking food every day. Now, sometimes in the Bible, they needed to be able to see the promised land. Well, you just need to see what's available, and then we can learn and start teaching you how to do it, But the sky is the limit if you're willing to break with this convenience cycle. And guess what? the blessing of this and the reward of this is you're going to have healthy food, and you're going to eliminate all as much as you can. Get started somewhere. It might not be 100% in a month or in a year, but you'll get started and you will have your own food, and you will be eventually be chemical free. So I want to encourage you to this month is Super September at Shekinah Ranch, and we're just asking you to make a donation. We have Cash App where you can give, and we have PayPal where you can give, and it comes right in, and we'll start using that resource to finish projects. We have 15 students coming in September 23rd for our obstacle training course, where we're going to teach them life skills, decision making, problem solving, critical thinking, and they're going to go back into their environment, and they're going to be different. I had a leader in the community come to me, and he said, I want my kids to learn how to be godly people. I want them to learn how to make good decisions. I don't want my students to end up in jail. I don't want my students on drugs. Can you help me? We've had former superintendents come and say, Pastor Larkins, we want your help. We want you to create programs and we're known for how we impact young people. You will be a part of this, your giving and your support and your prayers. And maybe one day you can come to Shekinah Ranch. Next week we have what's called Shekinah Ranch Tasting Day. We're starting an herbal tea program where we're sourcing herbal herbs from all over the world. And we're going to have on the 22nd and the 23rd of September. The 22nd is meet and greet day, and it's also tea tasting day. If you want to get registered, you can call 937-313-9706 and talk to Lisa. She would love to facilitate you. And we've got something special to show you right now. Here is our product list so that you can see, well, we started with one product. Now we have over 28 different products that we actually produce, we actually market, and we actually sell. We have several USDA certified butchers that handle our meat so that we can be in a position to sell this kind of food to you. So again, I don't want to overwhelm people. I want you to know that maybe you can't grow the food yourself, but we can grow it for you. In fact, I'm planning to meet with pastors and leaders now to say, hey, well, let's evaluate your family. Let's evaluate your church family. And let's find out how many chickens do you eat a month? Or how many chickens do you eat in a quarter? Or how many chickens do you eat in a 6-month period? Well, what we will do, we'll evaluate their systems, and then we will say, okay, we can grow this for you. And it'll be like a co-op where you can pay half down, and then we'll actually deliver the food for you and take it to the butcher. Yes, you'll pay, and you'll probably pay more than you're paying at Walmart, but it'll be better food, be better quality, and you will be confident. So then we'll evaluate your system. We'll evaluate your system to find out, well, are you going to need a deep freezer? Are you going to need us to come in and we could build you a walk-in freezer and a walk-in cooler, the size of a closet, but that would be your cold space. We have been blessed by God to understand how to create systems, how to design systems, and these systems work, and they cost a lot less money than you would if you would had to buy it or have somebody else come in and build it. I want to talk to you about we have 300 layer hens. We produce that they produce uh, farm fresh brown eggs. I could hold one of these sessions here for 6 weeks and talk to you about eggs. We feed them an omega-3 diet. Yeah, so they're omega-3 eggs. And we have been doing this now for 22 years. We're not novices. And the thing that I want to tell people is, number one, you can do it. Now, you may not do it on the scale that we're doing it. I understand that. But you can start where you're at. Okay. Now, we have people calling us because they say, well, how can we have chickens in our yard and we live in the city? Well, you can have chickens. You can't have a rooster because roosters make a lot of noise. But it would be amazing if you could just go out in your yard. And I know this is a change of a way of life. It's almost a change of culture. But we're living in a time where the powers that be there is just trying to strip people. I mean, I've never seen the economy this bad. I had someone in my church. They went to the store and they didn't even have a full basket of food, and it was $305. And I mean, I'm sure you all feel it at the grocery store, and you feel it at the gas pump. Well, you got to start taking charge of how you do things in your life, or eventually, you could come into some very hard times. And so we want to help you. There are answers to your food equation, and I'm going to continue to tell you, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this, and you can overcome those obstacles. And by the way, along the way, you're going to be eating healthier and you're going to be feeling better. Now, every morning I wake up, I have a smoothie. And the reason why I do that is because I've learned to feed my body at the cellular level. I use certain herbal supplements every day of my life. I'm 65 years old and I don't even believe it. I get out and work. I cut wood. I train horses. I build. I run the church. I run several community programs. I'm writing books, and I'm helping pastors and leaders all over the country. I have more energy, and I plan to have more energy. But we have to take responsibility for our health. Now, this is a plug right here to challenge you. If you haven't gone to the doctor and had a checkup, you need to do that. Okay? And you need to make some changes to eat healthier, get some exercise. Don't say, well, I'm 50 years old, I can't. Get some exercise. You can get some light weights, and you can do some walking around the community. You need to exercise, because if you don't exercise, eventually you're going to shut down. Now, you might want to come to my church, because we encourage everybody like this. And we don't want people to be lazy, because if you don't exercise or you don't eat right, eventually it's going to catch up with you. Now, I'll say enough of that, because some of you might be already mad at me now. And I don't want you to be mad. I want you to leave happy. I want you to leave challenged. I want you to leave having caught a vision of what you can do, and don't tell me what you can't do, So when we started the chickens, we started with I think we started with 10. Now, I'm going to talk to you about our meat chickens, and I'm going to talk to you about, do we have a picture of our eggs there? I want to talk to you about our egg layers, because we're producing 200 some odd eggs a day. Well, we're not doing it. The chickens are doing it, but we take care of them. We take care of them. They take care of us. Okay. And so we sell eggs. I'll tell you something. I'm looking for some older people that bake. Most bakeries in this country started in someone's kitchen. I want to help some older people become entrepreneurs and start taking those great, big, beautiful cakes and pies and cookies that you make, and I want to help you start a business. These eggs make things super, super delicious. Okay. And so when we sell eggs, we have so many eggs left over. You know, if you have 200 eggs a day, you're getting up toward 1,000 a week. And so we said, well, we don't want to put these eggs in the compost pile. So guess what we did? And this is where you would want to give a donation to this type of ministry. We went and found pastors that had senior citizens in their churches that had struggles with at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month or the mid-month of buying food. So we give these pastors 10 to 20 dozen of eggs at a time, and they take them and they give those out to their church members who have a need. And then for the Dayton Right to Life, we always support these women that are struggling with their little babies and so forth. And so thank God for Margie Christie down there. We give her, we're going to always donate down there because they say that the young ladies just love the eggs, and it's a very high protein component for their dinner table or their breakfast table. So you end up buying, you end up growing food, but you end up helping the community, and you end up meeting needs. I will never be in a position in our church where somebody comes to us starving and not having food, and we're going to make sure they eat. Okay, so here's a little cost, but now remember, now meat chickens, we raise 300 of them at a time. And we have chicken tractors where they are out in the pastures eating bugs and grass. And bugs are they're antibiotic. We don't give antibiotics to our animals. You know, if we feed them right and they are on good grass and so forth, they're healthy. Okay. And God takes care of our animals because we take care of them. But here it is. Say you wanted to start a chicken farm. Well, let's talk about, you know, the prices are so high. Everything else is high too. We had to raise our prices because feed prices. I mean, at one time we were buying feed for $12 for a 50-pound bag. Now we might spend $22, $23 for a 50-pound bag. That's a big jump. But Lisa put these numbers together for me. Our layer hens, to buy pullets, they're $9 a piece. We can sell those to you for a little more. Then 60 birds cost $540. Feed costs $18.12. And then there's something called chicken scratch that they eat, $17. So the prices are what determines the cost that our customers have to spend. And we have to make a little money, but the cost for 1 year, now this is going to make you swallow hard, but again, you're not starting a big farm ranch like we are. You just want to know there are costs involved. And so when you want to start something, you have to have some startup costs. And then you need to understand that there needs to be some type of way that you're going to house these birds or whatever you grow, but you can do it. And I want to continue. I'm a consultant. I can help you figure this thing out. I just want you to have courage to know that you can do it. Okay. I won't even tell you that cost because that cost is up in the thousands. Okay. But you can do this. Okay. The cost to raise 300 meat chickens is I was a little wrong on something. The bags of feed cost $15.12. Cost to purchase the baby chicks is $1.75. But now, say you wanted us to do this for you. What you would do is you would call Lisa at 937-313-9706. She's the one of the managers here, and we can give you a free consult so that we can evaluate what your needs are and help direct you so that you start out winning. There is no substitute for winning. God's a winner and he wants us to be winners, but we have to evaluate things. Um, let's show a few more slides. We're going to start winding up. Again, if you here's some of our customers. These guys are from Peru. They work for one of our donors called Paul's Outdoor Equipment here in the community, and they love the tilapia. I mean, they come down and sometimes Paul he'll bring them down and they'll buy 10 dinners at a time. And so, uh, any more slides? And so here, this is the promoting our tea program. These herbs, these are tea mixes, and these herbs they may come from Africa, they may come from New Zealand, they might come from Australia, but they're coming from all over the world, and they have not been. There's no chemicals in them, and these tea mixes. I love the tea program because we will be able to service people all over the country because tea is lightweight. And we have our first batch of herbs coming in the next week, and we would like for you to come to our tasting event. You can call Lisa and RSVP at 937-313-9706. We're asking a donation for $75 for the 2 nights. It'll be Friday, which is the meet and greet. You'll meet great people. We have, and on Saturday, the menu is wonderful. We have steaks, we have lamb chops, we have rotisserie chicken. We have all these wonderful entrees that you'll be able to taste, and you'll be able to see that this is something that you really want to get involved with. Now, let me see. Do we have any questions from our viewing audience? Let me look at the chat and let me see. Are there any questions? Do we have any questions? This was great. Thank you, Pastor Dana. Dana, do you have any questions? We want to encourage you, start growing. Start someplace, even if it was, some of the herbs or mint or something like that, because it won't take long. You'll learn, and then you'll be encouraging someone else to do the same thing. But it doesn't look like we have any questions. If you're interested, now this is a wonderful picture because this is us creating our thermal cells. And what we do off of that main boiler, we start producing more heat in these 250 to 400 gallon stainless steel tanks. And then with circulating pumps, we move that heat through these red pipes, and we have unlimited heat. When we first bought this old farmhouse, it had an old boiler in it, and we could not, our people could not stay warm in there. Now we have to open windows sometimes. But guess what? The beautiful thing about that is we never get a heat bill. Now, think about that for your family. Think about that for your home. Never having a heat bill again. So those are just thoughts. And then we have a new program called Life School. Now, this is probably one of the most innovative things that God has put in my heart throughout the years, because, with what's going on in the schools and them pushing gender this and gender that, the kids are confused. I had a call come in today and ask me, would I produce a 1-minute video for to stand against the legalization of recreation marijuana? Well, let me tell you something. We don't need any of that in our community. We have the families breaking down, And I think about it when they legalize gambling, they say, okay, you can spend $5 and you'll get $200. And then they, at the end of it, they say real fast, if you have a gambling problem, no. You're giving us a gambling problem. You're promoting things that are going to destroy the family, create more dysfunction, and then you say, uh, uh, if you have a gambling problem, feel free to contact us. Why? So that we can pay you. It's like the medical world. They give you a pill that has side effects, and then give you a pill to deal with the side effects, Come on, folks. We got to be smarter. We have to be smarter than this. And then we're praying to God, oh, God, help me. Well, God is not, you've got, when you release your faith, let me put it this way. When you release your faith, you also have to have corresponding actions consistent with what you're praying. So I want to teach you about faith too. I mean, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But if you're praying to God to be healthy, and then you're going and feeding your body everything that's not healthy, that's not faith. And that's the problem I have with pharmaceuticals. You don't get me started on the medical establishment. I want to get you started. I want to get you worked up. I want to get you mad so that you'll say, I'm going to make some changes, some changes in my life. But I refuse to take medicine that's going to create 10 side effects, and then I have to take some more medicine to get rid of the side effects, and then it blows out my liver, blows out my kidneys. And then in the Black community, we have so many kidney, places where they're working on people, but they blew them out with the medicine they was giving us. So we have to be smart. We have to start looking at labels, and we have to start finding out, do some research. You like that Dana said clinical dependency. That's right. You have to start going and doing your Google researches, or you can use DuckDuckGo. Just do some research and find out what is this chemical and what are the health detriments of this chemical to my body. Now, I went to the doctor one time and he gave me this pill. He subscribed this pill to me. I just want to give you some warning because these things happen. And and so I came home and I said, I'm going to find out, is it on the dangerous drug list? I found out it was on the dangerous drug list. And I have a dear cousin that owns a medical practice. And I said, I don't want to take this. She said, Donovan, you don't have to take this because they have 20 other things they can treat that with. And so I went back to the doctor. I said, I don't want to take this because it's on the dangerous drug list. You know what they did? They discharged me from their care. They're kind of like lawyers. A lawyer don't like you to ask them too many questions and challenge them. But I believe this. I am my number one caregiver of my own body. Okay. And I choose what I'm going to put in my body, and I choose what I will not put in my body. And so I'm going to die on my own terms. Okay. But most likely I'm going to live and not die. Okay. So this kind of sums up. Let me end this with talking to you more about life school. We send our children to schools and we want them to be educated with academics. We want them to become academic excellence. And so they're teaching things to kids that confuse them. I have little children and they start telling me about the furries. Well, you say, what, the furries? Yeah, furries. They teach the little kids they can act like dogs and cats. And so I had a teacher come to me. He said, Pastor Larkins, this is real. They're putting kitty litter boxes in in the children's restroom so they can act like cats. I'm like, that's ridiculous. That's even unsanitary. So they're not even learning to be academic, have academic excellence. They're confusing them with all these agendas. And the Lord said, I want you to start life school. So we want to they send their kids to school so they can be book smart, but they don't learn anything about navigating life. And this is what life school is about. We're going to teach them how to navigate life. We're going to teach them how to make decisions. And we're going to teach them how to discern between right and wrong. And you can teach your children to say no to what's wrong so that they're not mentally incapacitated by all the lies they're being taught by a world that has no boundaries. And I plan to get behind homeschoolers, homeschool families, private school families, and we're going to help them strengthen their children with morals and values so that they're not walking around here thinking that they're cats or that they're saying, and now there's push going on all over saying, well, if your children wants to be a different gender, they can be a different gender, and we're not even going to tell you. We're just going to make them something that they're not. Folks, join us for Life School. Join us here at Our Point of View. Join us here at Shekinah Ranch. Support us. We love you. We want you to stay tuned because there's going to be many, many more broadcasts, and we want you to be involved. Somebody says, Pastor, I was an arts educator and substitute teacher for over 30 years. I won't go back because I won't be complicit to this madness. God bless you, Dana. And it'd be great if you was here because we gather a bunch of people like you. We'll start a school. So if you want to enter prayer requests, put them in the chat. We love you. We hope you'll get involved and support our Super September. Write us, let us know your questions. Let us know your concerns. Let us know if we made you mad. And we'll more than gladly be willing to chat with you and talk with you and help you get started along and helping your family be more productive and more healthy. There's the giving, the Cash App, and the PayPal. We appreciate your support, and God bless you. Have a good night. Welcome to the Our Point of View Media Outreach, where your pathway will be made brighter and the darkness will be dispelled.